IVM.
My guest on the show today is somebody who has constantly fought the norm and created a path for himself successfully each time. A prolific writer, an opinion maker, an influencer, and perhaps the most widely read English author in India. Joining me today is Chetan Bhagat.
Don't you think that if everyone around you is getting smart, you better be smarter? Hey there, I'm the traveling professor Siddharth Deshmukh and I'm back with season 2 of my podcast to make you smarter. Smarter with Sid. What's this season's focus about? Well, it's about 10-minute nuggets that will make you stand out at work. It's time to go from smart to smarter. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday and become smarter with Sid.
Chetan, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. I'm going to start with a very simple question. You once said you had the best job and you supposedly, as everybody else says, the best life as an investment banker at Goldman Sachs. You realize you're not happy. Are you happy now? Are you happy today?
Yes. Wow, what a deep question to start with, yaar.
I thought let me start with the deep one. Bilkul.
You ask someone, are you happy? It's like, but God's grace, touch wood, I'm very happy. Yes. And for whoever's listening, some of it is because of what has happened in my life. And I'm very lucky for that. But some of it is because I've decided to be happy. सुबह उठो और सोचो आज खुश रहना है तब खुश रहते हो ऐसे नहीं आती खुशी घर पे घंटी बजा के नहीं आती you have to wake up and say I want to be happy. So it's good you started with that question. It's a very deep question. I was like, okay.
It's also simple. Yes. When you have that simple mantra, then it becomes very simple, right?
Are you happy?
Me, yes, I'm very happy. And I pretty much follow that same mantra. Take one day at a time and try and make the most of it.
Yeah, and you have to tell yourself, what can I do to make myself happy? First you say, I want to be happy. And then you say, what can I do to make myself happy? And then sometimes the world also rewards you. Sometimes, beautiful things happen in life. But you can't only be happy when those things happen. You know what I mean?
But I want to go back to the time when you wanted to quit your job and then you took to writing. Did that fill the void? Did that bring in that happiness? Was it writing that did that, or was it that you got that recognition and a connect with people?
The time you're talking about when I was quitting my job, that time I was deeply unhappy. One is you feeling like so I think when I started writing, I was not that happy, but I was not miserable. I was like, life mein maza nahi aa raha. So I wrote. But then I kept writing and the books came out, but I couldn't gather the courage to quit my job because the job paid so well. So by that time came to quit that job, I was miserable. Miserable is the word. Because, it's just, it's so that way I knew that I have to stop this job. I didn't know whether I'll be happy again. वो तो बहुत दूर की बात हो गई. But I knew कि I have to quit this. And that's why I quit my job. I mean, there's a whole YouTube video made on this, like how I quit my job. But basically, in quick summary, I had to see a counselor. I had to see a therapist, and who basically told me, I was saying I feel a lot of pressure, my family and my in-laws and everybody feels very scared that I'll be quitting my job. And what should I do? Because I want to make them happy. And she said that, you can't make anyone, comes back to the happiness thing. You can't make anyone happy unless you're happy. It's like that oxygen mask in the plane. पहले अपना mask लगाओ फिर औरों का लगाओ. अगर तुम ही खुश नहीं हो तो किसी को खुश नहीं कर पाओगे. So I quit. So that's what I did, was to get rid of the unhappiness. Then slowly I built it back to a happy life.
I don't want to go too philosophical, but I've wanted to ask you this because I've heard you say this a lot of times, right? You've spoken about this enough number of times. How do you understand that it is the job that's giving you that misery in life? Because, all of us have jobs that at one point have been our dream jobs. We've loved them and so on. And then suddenly it could be a variety of other factors. How did you kind of laser focus into it's the job that's giving me that unhappiness?
Oh, it's a good question. It's not philosophical at all. Actually, it's a very practical question you're asking, because a lot of people don't even know it's the job which is causing it. See, we spend a lot of time on our jobs. Most people, like if you have waking hours and the time you take a shower and whatever, you take that time out. You have like whatever 14 hours, and people spend a good 10 hours, 5 days a week on it. Like that's more than half your waking life you spend in your job. So it has a huge bearing on your happiness. You have to basically ask yourself, if you are feeling it, first you have to be very honest with yourself and ask yourself, am I happy or not? Now, we can all have bad days. I have bad days. So it doesn't mean that when I said I'm happy means I'm always jumping with excitement. No. But if it's everyday unhappiness, then you are unhappy. And yeah, sometimes it can be so much that you need the treatment and you need that. We are not going into that zone. Most people have these highs and lows, which are not medical condition, but they are just not satisfied or unhappy in life. And often it is the job, because you are spending more than 60% of your waking hours on it, 70%. Do you have a good team you work with? Do you have a good boss? Do you like the work you do? Does it give you some meaning? Do you get appreciation at work? Is there anything beyond the salary? Okay, here's a simple question. If tomorrow this job didn't pay you, would you still stay?
Great question, yeah.
And it's a very, of course, you need to pay the bills and all. But let's say your bills were taken care of. So you didn't have to. Would you still do it? And if the answer is hell no, then you're unhappy in your job. But if the answer is, I might, then I think you're probably okay. And if the answer is hell yes, which I think is for me, then you're just really fortunate that you have a job that you love.
Okay. I'm going to start out with when you wrote your first book, 2004, at the age of 29. And I'm going to talk about the fact that despite your success, I mean, you're probably the most read English author in India. It seems the so-called, literati questioned your literary credentials. How did you handle that? And do you still keep handling it? Do you still keep getting the criticism?
Now they are much less. Maybe they have accepted me. And also, fortunately, because of Corona, all these lit fests have stopped. So they are not getting a platform only. I mean, because where do they come? These people normally make their statements in these forums and all that. And there is none of that happening. 2 saal se to shanti hai. So I don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. And also, sometimes these people used to write in various publications, online publications, and they would write about me or my books and judge them in a way that, common people read it, what are they? And funny enough, those sites have closed down and they've lost their jobs. And I used to wonder, not because I used to feel bad, I used to wonder that how can they criticize the person India is reading when they want the same readership themselves? They're judging me and my readers, but there are these web portals who ultimately want to grow in India only, but they are judging what Indians read. So I think I slowly realized that these people don't know what they're talking about. And they are just in this position where they're just trying to pose and be like a snob or be a little elitist in a way, trying to show that they're better than others. And anybody that the masses of India will read, they will look down on him only or her. So then when I realized their agenda is a little different and they are getting it wrong, that their own jobs are being lost and their own business is being shut down. So then I said, I don't have to take their advice. So from the very beginning, I knew that these guys will never support me. They say they care for books, but when people in India actually pick up a book, which is a Chetan Bhagat book, they'll say, what are you reading? So, the child is just going to go right back to Insta Reels. He's not going to come and read your book.
But where do you think their intellectual / literary snobbery comes from?
है ना, अंग्रेज गए ना 1947 में, तो कहीं रह गए थोड़ा, some आत्मा अंग्रेज है उनकी, and the body is Indian. I mean, there is a culture we had in India where very few people used to read. We had, and English was a very precious commodity. People didn't have access to it, and English books was even more precious. So you could literally read 5 English books and claim to be superior than others. It used to be the case in the 90s, even the early 2000s. But now I said that everybody can read English books. So I have taken away their exclusivity. So the only way they can keep it is saying, no, this is not a real writer. No, this is a very bad one. So but I don't know. I have the same editors as uh, those books, same publisher, same everything. But just people are choosing to read my books. In this age, they could have actually learned from me and become my competition. But they were so lost in their superiority that I'm very thankful that they wasted their life and their writing. Some of them are very good writers, but they wasted themselves because they believed that they are superior and things like that. Stupid. Yeah,
But you said that as a child, you used to make people laugh. You were very good at that in maths, right? Now you make people read your books. Have you ever analyzed what is it about that your books that connects youngsters to it and a lot of readers in India to them?
I mean, some of it is like you can probably tell better because you're an outside observer, and I obviously thought about it, but me having been writing them, I can't really say. I think there is something to do with the connect, and I think people can connect with me, and some people have it and some don't. Why is Salman Khan the biggest star? Why? I mean, he's a good actor, good body, good face, but a lot of people have that. But he connected for decades, and it's not like just acting skills, right? It's a lot of people have that. A lot of people can do comedy. He can do. A lot of people can do action. He can. But people connect with him, and I think once you connect people, that's the God's gift. खुदा की देन होती है वो. You have the ability to connect with people. You become in a different league. Then the critics and all don't matter because people don't say Chetan is the best writer or third best writer or fifth best writer. They just say Chetan is my writer. और जो अपना बना जाता है फिर वो बात ही खत्म होगी फिर. So I think I've managed to connect and I believe that is my strength. It's not books. It's not writing. My strength is the ability to connect people, whether it is to tell them interesting things, to motivate them, to make them laugh. I give them something useful to them. चाहे हंसा दो, चाहे inspire कर दो, कुछ भी करो. And that can be translated into books, into movies, into YouTube videos, into interviews like this, hopefully. So, that is, I think, the gift which God has given me. I've just been fortunate to bring it out in various ways.
Okay, let's talk about your latest book, 400. A switch from normally the kind of books that you've written, mystery. Where did that come about?
Because I think a writer must also challenge himself or herself to do new things. And I've done a lot of love stories. There is still a big love story in this book. It's like, in fact, when we were bringing it out, we were not sure कि कैसे इसको market करें. Because it is a mystery, but the love stories are equally important, I would say. And you can almost market it as an infidelity story. You can.
Yeah.
But then in the end, we said the missing child is the unique thing. So that's what the cover and all that was like that. So I will always keep the love story angle. That is one of my strengths. But I felt today people are getting distracted more easily. The phone is there. They will close the book and they will not even realize they have closed the book. They'll be checking Instagram and 30 minutes are gone. Then like, चलो आज नहीं और पढ़ते बंद. अभी नींद सोने का time हो गया. But if I bring an element of mystery in it, what happened to that child? How can a child just go missing for 3 months? Then they want to know. So it's a way to keep the reader into the book, really, for me. I want people to read.
Is it a gamble because they expect a certain kind of narrative or stories from you?
It is a gamble. And I have always taken gambles. It is a gamble. And I think if you don't take I tell people to take risks in my motivation talks. I tell people to try new things. Go out of your comfort zone. So I have to follow my own advice. I can't just say ऐसे uncle ज्ञान बांट रहे हैं कि हाँ ये करो वो करो और खुद फट रही है खुद नहीं कर रहे so वो नहीं होना चाहिए.
But like you said, you like taking risks. You've constantly reinvented yourself and successfully so. Has there ever been a parent who's come up to you and said, please मैं आपकी life story नहीं सुनना चाहता हूँ because I don't want my child to leave his or her job?
बोलते हैं ना पहले कई बार आया ये सब आपकी 3 Idiots की वजह से हुआ है अच्छा खासा इंजीनियरिंग कर रहा था अब इसको बेकरी खोलनी है. मैंने कहा 3 Idiots होती ना होती उसको बेकरी खोलनी थी. So it's not that. But then I try to explain to them that it's probably good that he's at least expressing. A lot of people to just keep doing things. Maybe you want your child to be happy in future or not? Or you just want to tick the boxes कि हमारा बेटे ने ये किया वो किया. So I think that it has happened and fine. I mean, maybe some people are upset with me because they are used to thinking a certain way.
Mm.
But a writer's job is not to be liked by everyone. It is to bring about some change.
But when people read books, it affects the way we think to a great extent, right? And at the same time, you've also become an opinion maker. Your op-eds are extremely successful, read a lot, and also very strong in their content. Because the youth connect with you so much, do you often feel overwhelmed by that fact? Do you feel this is a huge responsibility and I need to be more responsible than perhaps the average author?
Yeah, it's a good question because I struggle with that. I do want to have more impact. See, I'm a very best-selling kind of author. Okay, so in a way, I write very massy. I admit it. I write those commercial kind of books where there's love and sex and infidelity happening and Bollywood kind of stuff, which Indians love. That's why they read them. But I want to do more with my ability to write and my reach, the platform that I have today, whatever it is.
Right.
And therefore, I want to have more impact. And that's why I started writing on national issues. And there are people who read them. Now, there you have to be more responsible, right? So the Chetan Bhagat, the entertainer, and Chetan Bhagat, the opinion maker or whatever, change maker, whatever you can call it, there is sometimes a conflict in that. Because what is entertaining is often not very responsible.
Yes.
Basically. You go out drinking. You go out drinking at night, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you go out drinking with your friends, it's a lot of fun. You dance on the tables, a lot of fun. It's not responsible behavior. But people are more interested in that story, where there's infidelity happening and stuff happening. Now, so it's sometimes it's difficult. And I try to, find a balance between the two. And sometimes I want those readers to also I want my editorials to be entertaining. But at the same time, you can't just make everything entertaining. Some things are serious. I mean, it's the Kashmir issue is serious. So it's a struggle. But I realize that luckily there is not that much overlaps. There are uncles and all who meet me on the flight and say, they only read my editorials. Then they sit next to me and for the whole flight, they'll tell me how they didn't agree with my article. And there are these youngsters who only want to read 400 days or watch the movies. And they're like, "Hame nahi pata kya likhta hai, kuch hoga." They never read my columns. So I'm okay. There's almost two split personalities happening there actually. If you see my Instagram feed, it's a different person than my Twitter feed.
And
because it's crazy.
Is that deliberate?
Yeah, I mean, I can't help it. I mean, because I feel Twitter is like a crazy platform where, people kind of talk all kinds of nonsense. And so therefore, I don't share personal stuff there. I'll not put family pictures there. I'll not put, pictures of my fitness, for example, there.
Right.
Because, but it's somewhere down the line, I want to share a little bit of who I am with my readers. So I find Instagram is better. But when you look at the feeds, it's like it's not the same person.
It's not the same person.
I'm fighting about vaccination here, and I'm talking about what we had. Like we had a brunch at home, and I'm taking pictures of that. So it's very different.
I'm going to come to your op-eds that you write and the trolling that you face. You're living the Indian dream. Whether you want to call it middle class dream or upper middle class dream, you're living the dream. Whether it was when you had that job at Goldman Sachs or now as an extremely successful
in fact,
influencer.
Multiple dreams. I have multiple dreams, yes.
So you would have an understanding of what the Indian middle class dream today is. And I want to ask you that. What is the Indian middle class dream today? Is it to get rich?
It is to get a good job. I think
it still remains that.
Yeah, I wish it was a little more aggressive. I wish there was a little more hunger, and I always keep trying. For that. But it's that, and to get a girlfriend or boyfriend. That's a very big part of the equation, which we often ignore. But getting romance and love and curiosity about sex and this whole dating marketplace, so as to say, there's a rapidly changing culture there. Because we are from arranged marriage, culture to I want to experiment, I want to try sex, and I want to go on a date, and I want to try dating apps. So I think we are seeing a rapid adoption there. There's a desire for a job and a safe job still. If you're talking pan-India level.
Yes, of course.
And I think I wish that changed. I think it will change once we see like this, like 10 startup IPOs, and we see like 10 middle class people who became billionaires. You will see a switch, and people will suddenly say, you know what, I also want to be that. But because the economy has been a little weak in the last few years, and there weren't that many visible signs, so people are like, okay, let me get a government job. And let me maybe get one girlfriend if I can. That's the Indian dream.
That's the Indian dream. You have had the privilege of being at some of the best institutions in India, right? You've also written about what is wrong with the educational system. Now, I personally believe that most of the colleges in India don't prepare you for a job. You're not job ready when you complete your graduation. What do you think, despite being at the most prestigious institutions, do you think all is well in those institutions? Or is it just because a bunch of the brightest kids in the country are there, they're obviously supposed to do well?
Well, IIT IIMs are a lot better than the other places, for sure. Now that I've traveled, it's not like they're perfect. They're not perfect. There's a lot of issues there. I mean, if you see 3 Idiots or see 3 5.1, I've already brought them up. But broadly, I agree with you that our colleges don't make them job ready. They don't talk about what is relevant. See, there is a fundamental issue, I feel, with Indian youngsters, that they don't have confidence. It's almost like a chronic problem. And that's because of a certain kind of society that we are. बड़ों का कहना मानो, बड़ों के आगे जवाब मत दो, बड़ों से बात मत करो, टीचर से बात मत करो, मैंने कह दिया चुप हो जाओ, बस. Which is all very respectful and nice, but it doesn't build independent thinking personalities. Everybody's nervous, everybody's underconfident, you can't make decisions. So you don't have that confidence. And therefore that kind of carries through college. And some of it is also just our curriculums are really outdated. We haven't really updated them. So, and then English is an issue, because English, you need decent English. I'm not saying I don't speak very fancy English, but you need at least this level so that we can have a conversation, we can have a talk with each other. So I think these 3 factors combine: confidence, English, curriculum, and that leads to a degree which is not immediately useful. In fact, the big companies have to retrain. They send most of the hires, they send them for training for 6 months to 1 year. And that's because you're not getting that happening. Yes, that is an issue.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the socio-political situation in the country, because your op-eds reflect a deep understanding, or at least your point of view on them. You've written several op-eds. Do you see, you obviously see the growing polarization in the country. Are you disappointed by it?
Okay, firstly, it is growing, I must say, but it's nowhere near growing as much as it appears on Twitter. Okay, Twitter is, data-wise, it's 10 million daily users every day in India on Twitter. 10 million. Now, it may seem like a lot, 1 crore people, but India is 140 crore people. So, out of 100 people, 99 are thankfully not on Twitter.
Thank God for that.
Yes. Or usme bhi, like, now the people who are on Twitter, that 1 crore, usme bhi, like, I think more than half stay away from politics completely. Even 70%. So you have a very tiny minority of people who keep on fighting on Twitter and make you seem that India is just falling apart. It's not. It's not falling apart. People are working together with people of all religions. People are doing projects. All kinds of things are happening. It's there in Twitter or in some news channels, but largely, and I'm not trying to justify, it's just the way India is. India is very mixed up with people. And yeah, there are racist attitudes, bigotry exists. That is there. And there may have been a certain emboldenment of that way of thinking in the last few years. I don't think it's good. If you look at India's history, whenever someone has managed to defeat us, it has almost always been when they managed to divide us.
Yes.
It is how India has been conquered again and again and again. When they divided people, I'm sure the people really felt that the tribe they are fighting for, whatever community, religion, that's a very justified. I'm sure. And so therefore today, if the majority Hindu community, whatever, the Hindu community feels that some people in the Hindu community is like, oh my God, we must band together. this is the right way. We must protect each other. And that seems like a very smart idea.
Hmm.
But history has shown multiple times that that's how people have like managed to defeat India. And India will get defeated if we do it this way, because we are not that country. It's not because Congress said we are not that country. And I think this is a reaction to the liberal elites, which were like the elites and liberals who kind of controlled a lot of India, or at least were perceived to control a lot of India. And now power has shifted and social media is allowed. And the kind of those elite were in the media and all. And those are all like the power has gone down a lot. So it's people don't like those people. They are the same people who criticize me, the literati you said. So I have no love for them. I despise them. But it doesn't mean everything they said was wrong. They may have been like really not very nice people, according to me. But if they said that secularism is a good thing, it doesn't mean we have to reject it. That's a dumb thing to do, I feel. Because secularism is a good thing. That word may have been abused in the past or whatever, but fundamentally it's a good thing. It's like saying that we hate the liberals and elites so much in the past that we will reject everything they say. Like if they said, let's go to the gym and work out, we will now not work out. We will eat samosas all day. Because they said it's good to be fit. We will not be fit. That's called shooting yourself. That's called apne paon pe kulhadi. So if they said secularism, that may not have been a bad thing. So I think that is what people need to realize, that, okay, you're angry with them, you don't want to be like them, whatever. I hate them. I don't like them. Okay. But they did say a few sensible things. The India they created helped India become what it has become today. All our neighbors have screwed up. All. Because they did not go our way. Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal is a cute friend of ours, but they have not really gone way ahead of us. India has certain heft in the world today, maybe because of population and all, but we managed to survive as a democracy. Pakistan didn't. Bangladesh, you've seen what is happening there. So I feel like we should not throw away the good things that were done by your past leaders, even if they were not very good people. Because कई बार कोई गलत आदमी भी काम की बात कर जाता है ना कई बार. अगर आपको I'm just trying to, as an author, my job is to step into the shoes of people who are doing this polarization. I can just condemn it and then that won't solve anything. To solve it, we have to understand their psyche. Their psyche is कि नहीं, ये पहले वाले लोग गलत थे, अब हम बचाएंगे हिंदुओं को या जो भी. But you have to tell them कि यार ऐसे हमेशा इंडिया हारा है और हो सकता है कि वो लोग जो कह रहे हैं वो सही भी हो. जब भी इंडिया एक होता है जीतता है. क्रिकेट में भी कब जीतता है? जब हमारे सारे लोग आते हैं. बॉलीवुड भी क्यों अच्छा है? क्योंकि सब लोग आते हैं. जब इंडिया एक होता है, without this, then we win. We don't win by dividing.
You also said something very interesting recently, which got my attention, which was that you have to appeal to the self-interest of the radicals. Don't give them a lecture on morality. Can you elaborate on that?
कोई भी इंसान कब बदलता है? Because my job has been to create change, not just political, but anyway, when I motivate people, when I want them to think a certain way about, something, when I've written a book, and I've seen change. Firstly, you don't shove in change. Okay, ऐसे नहीं कि shut up you idiot, it'll be like this. You are going to flop. So if someone thinks in a very polarized way, now someone will say, you don't have to be their apologist, you're being their apologist, you're being their apologist. No, I'm being their surgeon. And I know that people don't like shoved down change. People move little bit. You have to move धीरे करके ही लोग बदलते हैं अपना. Then you have to tell them why they should change. What's in it for them? Everyone in this world asks, what's in it for me? मैं क्यों बदलूं? और वो तभी बदलेंगे जब आप उनको दिखाओगे ये जो आप कर रहे हो, ये इससे आपको नुकसान होगा, आपके देश को नुकसान होगा. और अगर हम ये, ठीक है, आप पास्ट की आपको 10 चीजें गलत लगती थी, ये 2 चीजें रख लो, लेकिन ये मत छेड़ो. This is very fundamental to India's fabric. So I think that may, like, then you are sitting on the table. You're like not hating them. You're not saying कि तुम पागल हो. You're not saying तुम गधे हो. You're not labeling them भागते हो. Nobody likes that. And so if you start with that, they are anyway switched off. But you say, हाँ मैं समझता हूँ, आपको दुख होता है कि ऐसा हुआ है हिंदुओं के साथ. लेकिन अगर हम अलग हो जाएंगे ना तो ऐसे ही हारते हैं. This to me, this is my style.
Okay.
It's not apologist. I'm not apologizing for their behavior, but I have to take everybody along. If I'm saying we should be one and secular, then we should truly be one and secular. We should listen to everyone. So that's what I feel. But
Okay.
Time will tell. Yeah.
Like you mentioned, you've been trolled enough and more on social media. And a lot of times the question that has been raised is, Chetan Bhagat, take one stand. Sometimes you praise the government, sometimes you question the government. We can't really understand what you stand for. How do you respond to that?
That I have a brain and I like to use it. How can I say one thing कि एक हो गया फिर तो मतलब see I think I've learned that human beings want to be sheep in search of a shepherd. I think that's a human tendency in a lot of people. And if you want to be a winner in life, I tell people, try to be a shepherd. Try to think where the sheep should go. Don't be the sheep. I just announce I hate the government and then my bad zone. Then what is the point of my ability to write? What is the point of my ability to analyze, see things? So yeah, I'm not in your club. I've multiple times have had to say that I am. Sometimes I get a lot of love also. I'll write a column that right-wing people really like. They'll say, "Arey, shabash, Chetan bhai, no better writer than you." I tell them, sir, आपके क्लब में नहीं हूं मैं. आज आप तारीफ कर रहे हो, कल आपके उल्टा भी बोल दूंगा. वो भी फिर सुन लेना. फिर मत कहना कि ये कैसा पागल राइटर है. So same way for liberals, I say. So I think this is a very important thing, and I'm very proud that I try to be objective. I try. I'm not saying I'm 100% there, but at least I'm trying. And maybe that is why, like you said, my columns are read. Because they know that this guy is at least trying to be objective. He's trying to look at things in a way which is best for the country, not like kiski side hai, uski side hai. You can call it थाली का बैंगन, you can call it, but मुझे नहीं जाना थाली में. थाली वाले बैंगन को लोग खा जाते हैं. मेरे को नहीं खाना.
So what next for Chetan Bhagat? Does the author continue?
I'm waiting for Corona to get completely okay and then see what happens. Maybe more OTT or film and then just work on my fitness. My kids are applying to college, trying to help them. So मतलब वो भी है घरेलू. गृहस्थ आश्रम भी चालू है. So I think there's a lot of things when you do things like launches and books and things, you kind of ignore a lot of things. So I think those things need my attention. So I'll give them my attention.
Okay, wonderful. Chetan, I'm going to end with, what people call rapid fire, whatever. I call them questions that become great promos for a show, right? So they're just short 5 questions that I'm going to ask you. You can give an elaborate answer, short answer, whatever. Yeah?
Okay.
So the first question is, what is the best advice you got?
Don't ignore your health.
Okay. And what is the best, or rather, what is the advice that you give all the time?
Focus on your self-improvement and ignore everything else.
Good one. How would you define love?
When there is someone in this world you care deeply about and just their presence or just the connection with them can lift you up. Yeah.
What is the most boring thing that you have ever done?
Oh, my first job in my bank, there were these accounts that were not balancing and we had to go through ledgers for months. I literally said this is the most boring thing I've ever done. Yeah.
And finally, how would you describe yourself?
I think sometimes fun, sometimes serious. And I'll just say this, my motto, don't be serious, be sincere. So fun, serious, I don't know, but more sincere than serious.
Thali ka bangan.
No. I don't want to be any sabzi, yaar. Which if I'm bangan, then even if you're paneer, somebody's going to eat you now. Better to be bangan and be out in the garden. By the way, I love bangan. I don't know why people say thali ka bangan. Bangan is such a nice sabzi. But if you tell me right now, kaun si sabzi banaye, I will often 90% say bangan bharta bana.
I love it.
और मेरा भरता बनता रहता है. I'm the bangan जिसका भरता बनता रहता है.
On that note, Chetan, lovely to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are @IVM Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, I'm Mahrukh Inayat on Twitter and Mahrukh Inayat on Instagram as well.
Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Cyrus Says, author Shrabani Basu joins Cyrus. They discuss her latest book, The Mystery of the Parsi Lawyer, Arthur Conan Doyle, George Idalji, and The Case of the Foreigner in the English Village. We have another new show launching this week, Wars and Warriors, narrated by Air Vice Marshal Arjun Subramaniam. We're launching this podcast to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the India-Pakistan War of 1971. The podcast is on wars and conflicts in the history of independent India. Tune in to hear some of the fiercest battles that our men and women at the borders have had to brave through. On Smarter with Sid, Siddharth shares the concepts of top-down camp and bottom-up camp. These are different approaches to incorporate changes in one's lifestyle. On Tere Mere Raste, Keshav takes us to the nursery of temples, Aihole and Patatakal, the spiritual and religious center of the erstwhile Chalukya Empire. And on Marathi Kirkitun, Dr. Rajiv and Manik Deshmukh, Dr. Preeti Pottar, they discuss her contribution to audiovisual media. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, please do tell a friend. Also, do check out our various YouTube channels. You can catch them on IVM Podcast/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week: Cred, Bank of Baroda, Quota, CoinSwitch, Kuber, Flake Coffee, Intel, and Oxfam India. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Do you wonder why China does the things that it does? Or want to know how we could improve online privacy? Or perhaps you're thinking about how we can kickstart India's economy. If you'd like to search for the answers to such questions, check out All Things Policy, a daily public policy podcast that covers everything from employment figures to aircraft carriers. Tune in from Monday to Friday for new episodes and fresh takes.